If you're a temporary resident in Canada, these times appear to be very uncertain for temporary residents, as there are so many updates coming on and you do not know what the next one is going to be. The worst you can do to yourself, however, is not to follow these updates and plan strategically. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Edwina. If this is your first time here, you are so welcome. Kindly hit the subscribe button and be part of this lovely family. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. In today's video, I want all of us to take a look at the recent immigration update that was done on the 18th of September 2024 by the immigration minister. We know that generally Canada is working on reducing the number of temporary residents. They keep updating us with the measures they are putting in place to achieve this target of reducing temporary residents in Canada from 6.5% of the population to 5% of the population. A recent one was released on September 18th, 2024 in Ottawa, and it says Canada has a long and proud history of welcoming newcomers from around the world who support our economy and enrich our country. In response to our labor shortages and the aftershocks of the pandemic, the federal government took steps to meet the urgent needs of businesses and support our economic recovery. Since then, Canada's economy has evolved, and we must continue to adapt our immigration system to respond to new pressures, including softening labor market. The recent boom in Canada was actually a measure that was put in place as a response to the labor shortages Canada experienced. Now, Canada is back to say that the economy has recovered. So they are now going to work on the numbers. They do not need as much anymore. Earlier this year, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada announced a decrease in the number of temporary residents from 6.5% of Canada's total population down to 5% by 2026. So I have already said this. Okay, to achieve the goal, the federal government is taking action to manage the increase of temporary residents and hold employers misusing the system accountable. We are reforming the international student program. So these are the ways it's going to work at reducing the numbers. One is going to reform international students program. If you're an international student, you cannot pretend you do not care about what is going on in Canada now. Tightening eligibility requirements for temporary foreign workers. If you're a temporary foreign worker or you are looking at becoming one, you cannot pretend you don't care. And then enforcing employer compliance more strictly, making labor market impact assessment more rigorous to mitigate fraud and more. Okay, to ensure that temporary residents we welcome to Canada can be supported adequately. The Honorable Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, today announced additional measures to manage the volume of temporary resident arrivals, uphold the integrity of our immigration system, and protect vulnerable people. We are announcing a further reduction in the intake cap on international student study permits for 2025 based on a 10% reduction from the 2024 target of 485,000 new study permits issued, and then stabilizing the intake cap for 2026 said that the number of study permits issued remains the same as 2025. For 2025, this means reducing study permits issued to 437,000. So this year, the uptake for international students were reduced, okay? Next year, we are going to see a further reduction. I mean, I have said in a previous video that if you were refused study permit in Canada this year, it may not be anything wrong with your application. Canada is working on reducing international students, and next year there is going to be a further 10% reduction in the intake. So if you are looking at coming to school in Canada, you would want to be very strategic. or you may want to explore other places. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. In 2026, they will work with the same figure as last year. That is, if nothing comes up. That is, if nothing comes up. Who knows? That may even change. Okay. So, and also it is updating the post-graduation work permit program this fall to better align with immigration goals and labor market needs. We all know that postgraduate work permit is one thing that makes international students so interested in Canada. There are going to be reforms in that area to make sure postgraduate work permits align with labor market needs. So if you're an international student, you want to pay attention to this. They are going to be limiting work permit eligibility later this year to spouses of master's degree students, to only those whose programs are at least 16 months in duration. You are an international student in a master's degree program which is not up to 16 months. It means that from November, your spouse will not be eligible for an open work permit. And it is also limiting work permit eligibility later this year to spouses of foreign workers in management or professional occupations or in sectors with labor shortages under Canada's work permit program. That is the TFWP and the IMP. Getting a work permit will no longer mean that your family automatically gets work permit. Like many countries, Canada is experiencing more asylum claims as the number of displaced people worldwide continues to grow, and that contributes to growing temporary residence volumes. To align with our humanitarian responsibilities, the government has been working on several measures to address integrity issues and strengthen the in Canada asylum system, including implementing partial visa requirement for Mexican nationals. So Mexican nationals will now need a visa, partial visa, to come into Canada, improving claim processing while maintaining fairness and integrity of asylum system. So the claim process is going to be shorter. It's going to be shorter. The asylum claims are going to be processed at a very faster rate now. And if your claim does not go through, if your claim is not strong, you would be deported. Viewing visa decision making so that our highly trained officers have the right tools to detect fraud and reduce the number of non-genuine visitors. So it means that henceforth, it is going to be more difficult to get a Canada visitor's visa. There are going to be more Canada visitor visa refusals. Okay, so if you are still considering coming to visit Canada, maybe you would want to look elsewhere too. We are going to explore more measures to further strengthen visa integrity. Actions we have taken as well as additional steps announced today will strengthen our immigration system, help address the changing needs of our country. We have listened to Canadians, including our provincial, territorial, and municipal partners and other community leaders. We will continue to seek to protect the integrity of our system and responsibly grow our country. So, I mean, Canada is working on protecting Canadians and grow their country. You and I do not have much to say about this. If you want to still be here, you have to know the rules of engagement and go by it. It is as simple as that. Whether you are happy about it or not doesn't really change anything. Okay, so these are the quotes. The reality is that not everyone who wants to come to Canada will be able to, just like not everyone who wants to stay in Canada will be able to. So it's not just at people who want to come, but also those who want to stay in Canada. We are taking action to strengthen our temporary resident programs and roll out a more comprehensive immigration plan to meet the demands of today's changing landscape. Our immigration system must preserve its integrity and be well managed and sustainable. As we look forward, we will do everything it takes to achieve that goal and set newcomers up for success. We will do everything it takes, so everything it takes. Okay, that is from the Honorable Minister Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. And then this one is from the Minister of Employment. He says that the temporary foreign worker program was designed to address labor market shortages when qualified Canadians were not able to fill those roles. Right now, we know that there are more Canadians qualified to fill open positions. The changes we are making today will prioritize Canadian workers and ensure Canadians can trust the program is meeting the needs of our economy. So like I have said in previous videos, Canadians cannot be unemployed whilst work is given to foreigners. It is what it is. Citizens of this country cannot be unemployed whilst the country continues to provide work for foreigners. So this is to the best interest of Canadian citizen or people with permanent residency in Canada. Okay, so this is from the Minister of Employment. Quick facts about the whole update. Number one is that the proposed reduction of temporary residents from 6.5% of Canada's total population to 5% will be reflected in the 2025 to 2027 immigration levels plan, which will be released by November 1, 2024. So we are still waiting for something on November 1, 2024. Graduates from programs at public colleges remain eligible for postgraduate work permit of up to 3 years if they graduate from a field of study linked to occupation in short-term changes. Yes, let's pay attention to this very well. Graduates are still eligible. Graduates from programs at public colleges will remain eligible for postgraduate work permits up to 3 years. There is a condition: if they graduate from a field of study linked to occupations in long-term shortage. If you are still considering coming to study in Canada, guy, you would want to pay attention to the program you are coming to study. I have said this time and over again in my videos. If you are considering coming to study in Canada in this day and age, you would want to pay attention to the program you are coming to study. That is, if you have intention to transition from a student to a permanent resident, you would want to pay attention to the program you are coming to study. After that, it says that as part of the changes to the postgraduate work permit program, all applicants will be required to demonstrate a minimum language proficiency in French or English. And this is something new. This will increase the ability to transition to permanent residency and adapt to changing economic conditions. A Canadian language benchmark, level 7 for university graduates and CLB 5 for college graduates, will be required for everyone applying for postgraduate work permits on or after November 1. So this does not apply to those who have just completed school. From November 1 onwards, you will need to have this. You will need to have a minimum of level 7 if you are a university graduate and level 5 if you are a college graduate to qualify for postgraduate work permit. I will do another video to go into details on this one. We cannot cover everything on this. It's going to be too long. If I decide to really break this down, it's going to be too long. The next thing is that the 2025 and 2026 study permit intake cap will include masters and doctoral students who will now have to submit a provincial or territorial attestation letter. We will be reserving approximately 12% of allocation space for these students in recognition of the benefits they bring to the Canadian labor market. So it's basically about how these it's basically about how temporary residence benefits Canada. Of course, which country would want people who come in to be burdened? Any country will want people who are coming in to be to their benefits. So that is basically what Canada is doing. So on January 1, 2024, the cost of living requirement for study permits was updated. We are all aware of that, okay? Yes, so that was in January when it was updated. Now the next thing is that budget 2024 proposes 743.5 million over 5 years starting in 2024 to 2025, and 159.5 million ongoing to support the stability and integrity of Canada's asylum system. Furthermore, information on the measures announced today will be available on our website in the near future. Guys, this is a very long read, I know, but this is just to update us of the new immigration changes Canada is making. We cannot do anything about it. This new update affects everyone. Once you're a temporary resident, it's going to affect you in any way, so you want to pay attention to this. I mean, I read everything to us today. I want us to have a full glimpse of what the whole thing is about. I will try to break it down further to how it affects international students and what I would do if I were in that position, how it affects spouses of international students and all that. So basically, this is the new update. And like I said, if you are a temporary resident in Canada, you cannot pretend you do not care. You have to strategize. You have to be tactical about everything you do. And if there is anything you need to do, you need to act on it very swiftly. Things are changing every day. Things are changing every day. So if you are supposed to do something today, don't put it down to come back to it tomorrow. By the time you come back tomorrow, that door would have been closed. I really appreciate your time. Kindly do me a favor to press the like button and subscribe to this lovely family, and also leave your thoughts in the comment section. I really appreciate you being here. Have a lovely day. Bye.